How's it going, everybody? I hope everyone's not panicking too much. Bitcoin is currently trading at 54,400. And of course, you guys know, if you've been watching my videos, I'm not worried at all. You can be worried. Bitcoin can go lower. Will it go into a multi-year bear market? No, it's not going to go into a multi-year bear market. I can say that at least with some sort of confidence on my end. Even if it does, and let's talk about the bare bones worst possible scenario, even if cryptocurrency does go into a bear market, I want to reinforce right now that you are incredibly early to the space, so early in fact that you have no idea. Now, the reason why I'm making this video, and it's going to be way different because we're not going to show much of TA. We will look at the charts for a brief moment just to kind of get an update of where Bitcoin's looking. But I want to talk about the theory of cryptocurrency and where it's going to go in the next 10, 15, 20 years, 100 years even, and far past that, because I don't think that this is something that's going to go away. I think it's going to fundamentally change how we look at currency, values, and barter and trade. It's going to be one of the biggest turning points for human evolution. And I know that could sound like hyperbole or I'm being very grandiose in my statement, and it can seem like that. But I would argue that a lot of people said the exact same thing about the internet, about this World Wide Web that nobody really understood and nobody really got. And of course, there can be bubbles in things like cryptocurrency. So when people do say crypto is a bubble, or crypto is going to be a bubble, or it's looking like a bubble, I can agree that things can look like a bubble and they can actually be a bubble, but that doesn't mean that fundamentally the ecosystem or the technology should be thrown out because it's bubble-like. Just because the housing market went into a bubble, does that mean that we don't offer mortgages anymore? Of course not. We still offer mortgages, just at a much more conservative rate at the fair value of the market, which is exactly what may happen with cryptocurrency in the future. It will drop to a fair market price, which all products eventually do. Now, the reason why I'm going on this tangent is basically to talk about where Bitcoin crypto is and where we're looking in the grand scheme of things. Because of course, if you're looking at it in a short-term mindset, thinking about what's going to happen next month or what's going to happen a couple months from now, when can I take profits in a month or a week, or can I be a millionaire in a quarter of the year? These are short-term ideologies when we should be thinking about how this technology could impact the future. Now, of course, I'm here to make some money with everyone else, but I'm also really in love with blockchain technology and where this blockchain technology can take the human race, how it can fundamentally change everything about what we do and how we think about money and how we think about value. The ripple effects that will be impacted by cryptocurrency is immense, and the world that's going to be shaped around it is going to be incredible. Think about all that untapped value that's just sitting in banks, sitting in the banking structure, right? This monolithic legacy financial system that has all this power and traditionally has had all this power. Now we have cryptocurrency, literally Pandora's box, giving that power to the people, to the owners of the network. And think of the internet. And I want to put this in exact terms that most people understand. Most of my audience is around my age, between the 30 to 40-year-old range. So most of you will have remembered what it was like growing up with the basics of the internet. Now, I'm not saying I grew up with the giant computers that filled entire schoolrooms. I'm talking about 56K phone connection internet, you know, that screech when you sign into the internet, your Pentium 2 with Windows 95, whatever it was back then. And even before, say, Google, when we had Ask Jeeves. I know that's exactly what I went to school with Ask Jeeves, and, you know, doing reports and everything, asking Jeeves all the different questions to get the different websites that I needed. It was an incredible time. To kind of picture exactly what happened for the .com boom, it was incredible. It went into what we call a bubble, exactly what we would call a bubble. And into 2000, we saw that peak and then that drop off, that capitulation drop off, and the mass correction that was needed over the number of years, bringing it back to the fair value, maybe even lower than the fair value of the price. Does that seem familiar to anyone? It sounds pretty familiar to me if you're looking back at the 2017 Bitcoin bull run. Now, obviously, we did recover eventually. Now, keep in mind of the sentiment back then in the dot-com boom, and especially even afterwards. People thought that they missed the boat when Amazon was at $300 compared to the $23 that it was, right? They thought they missed the boat, but obviously Amazon is trading well over $3,000 today. I think over 3,000. I haven't actually checked equities in a couple of days. And even with other equities, Microsoft, IBM, all these big tech companies, you see companies right now, and if you're wanting to look at what equities I'm actually in, Nvidia is a big one. I think they're going to be a big player in the space in the future. Obviously, Nvidia is a big name for a lot of computer people, and the stock price has done amazing over the last couple of months through COVID, and I think it's only going to increase as technology gets better. We have more and more VR coming out, more and more gaming opportunities, more and more simulation, virtual meeting opportunities. Our computers need higher GPU power, more GPU power. So obviously there's a need for something like Nvidia. So is it too late to get into that? And let's talk about not blockchain, not internet. Let's talk about EV cars. Is it too late to get into EV cars? Well, I'd probably say that right now, self-driving electric vehicles, not many people have them. I don't actually know personally many people that have a Tesla or have anything else. I know people that have Priuses, but other than that, I don't know many Tesla owner people around my area. I've seen them. I've definitely seen them, and they're around there. But the bulk of people don't actually own a Tesla yet. The bulk of people don't own a self-driving car. It is the future, and it is where we're going. Eventually, we are going to eliminate fossil fuels in cars. Eventually, right? This isn't going to be a quick process. Did we miss the boat? Did we miss the boat for EV tech? Well, maybe you can say that Elon Musk and Tesla is a bubble. I'd probably piss a lot of people off by saying that, and that's fine. Maybe you could say that, and you probably could with some sort of certainty say that, but I will say I'm not betting against Elon Musk at this point. But that being said, investing in EV is no way a bubble. Maybe that one stock specifically because of the hype around the company and what the company's been able to do. But I think EV itself is still very, very early on in the phases. Many people don't even have an EV car. And the same thing can be said about cryptocurrency. Back in the internet days, not a lot of people had a personal computer. Now everyone has the internet. Every single person with a smartphone most likely has the internet. And that is hugely powerful when you think about that. And when you think about bringing finances, taking it away from the legacy banking structure and then making everyone using it or having everyone naturally adopt it over time, that's going to be incredibly huge. The piece of pie that you are carving out for yourself right now is going to exponentially grow over the next couple of decades. That's why I say that what happens in this market cycle really at the end of the day doesn't matter. Of course, I'm here to take profit. Of course, I'm here to make money, and I'm going to take profit. I'm going to make sure that I am financially stable, but I'm also going to make sure that I'm investing in long-term things in this market. We see Bitcoin right now trading at 54,425. It is down quite a bit, but when you understand exactly where cryptocurrency is going in the late game, this doesn't really bug you that much. Of course, there's a lot down today. ADA is down 6.1%. XRP is down 8%. ETH is down 9%. But wasn't this pullback needed for ETH? If we look at this chart, everything can revert back. Everything can be brought down. That doesn't mean fundamentally the asset is tarnished or fundamentally there's something wrong with the asset. Now, I would like to bring in perspective, El Salvador is buying more Bitcoin on the dip. El Salvador has traditionally bought Bitcoin on the dip. For good and bad, there's been a lot of people that argued with the president about buying Bitcoin. A lot of people protested in the streets about him buying Bitcoin. The fact of the matter is they doubled their investment early on by buying through the sluggish low points that we had to deal with Bitcoin. I will agree, it's a Black Friday discount. And of course, if you've listened to the channel over the last couple of weeks, I probably said that we could see a December sell-off because people think that it's just going to crash in December. A lot of people are under the mindset that, hey, this market has to crash in December because that's what it did before. It's going to do the same thing now. And I would argue it doesn't at all have to do anything. It just has to be crypto, and eventually it will revert back to a bear market. But I don't think today's that day. And an artificial dip like this, I agree with the president here. I think that this is just a buying opportunity. And a lot of people, a lot of smart money is investing in Bitcoin right now. A lot of institutions, a lot of businesses, a lot of banks are going all in to get that blockchain framework done. One of the richest people in Mexico, Ricardo Salinas Pliego, now obviously I'm Canadian, so please bear with me, Canadian Lebanese, continues his support for Bitcoin and urging investors to allocate money into it. Is it that risky to take 1% of your portfolio and put it in cryptocurrency? I will speak in all honesty, 90+% of my portfolio is in cryptocurrency, and only, I'd probably say 15% of that is actually in Bitcoin. Keep that in mind. I'm obviously younger. If you're a little older than me, I probably wouldn't take as much risk. I'm a little bit ready to take on more risk than, say, the average person, but it's done me well. It's serviced me well throughout this market. I've done pretty well. If I sell now, I'm in a heap of profit. I'm doing very well in my portfolio. But at the end of the day, I'm also not looking for the short-term gain of what I just made over the last year. I'm looking for an investment in the future technology that will revolutionize how we look at payment, how we look at trading, how we look at value. He says Bitcoin is the new gold, which I agree. It is the digital gold. Gold is the analog. Gold is that old clunky thing that it's hard to travel between one area to another, where Bitcoin is that digital fast thing that can be traded very instantly across the world, depending on the networks that's used, right? Bitcoin gives a whole new term to value. And people often say, well, how do I trust Bitcoin has value? And frankly, you don't have to. The trust is in the code. That's how everything works in terms of blockchain. It's all under a consensus method. Not being able to change anything on the ledger and on the transactions, everything is as is and completely transparent between whoever is sending and receiving the cryptocurrency. So the fact that this could fundamentally change everything about our world is why I'm so bullish on crypto. And that's why I'm looking at these prices and I'm not that freaked out. Even if they are low, I'm looking at this as a buying opportunity, and I hope you are too. I hope this video helped you. It's a little bit of a different style video. If it did, go ahead and give me a like and subscribe to the channel for more crypto news and content. And of course, happy hodling.